In the vast emptiness of the cosmos, where stars whispered secrets to the void and forgotten stations drifted like ghosts in the night, there existed a place called Echo 9. It was an abandoned orbital outpost, once a bustling hub for interstellar traders, now a skeletal relic orbiting a gas giant in the Fennecia sector. Rust clung to its corridors like old regrets, and the hum of failing life support systems echoed through the dim halls, a lonely symphony for anyone foolish enough to linger. Ethan Hale was one such fool, or perhaps just a man seeking solitude. A shy engineer from Earth, he'd taken this gig to escape the chaos of human colonies, preferring the company of flickering consoles and creaking metal over the judgmental eyes of his peers. With his tousled brown hair, wire-rimmed glasses, and a perpetual hunch in his shoulders, Ethan blended into the shadows, tinkering away at salvageable tech, dreaming of nothing more than a quiet return home. But fate, that capricious force weaving through the stars, had other plans. It arrived in the form of a sleek, unmarked shuttle piercing the station's docking bay with a hiss of pressurized air. Ethan froze in his workshop, tools clattering to the floor as alarms blared a breach, unannounced and unauthorized. Heart pounding, he grabbed a makeshift stun rod, more for comfort than combat, and crept toward the bay. What he found wasn't an invader in the traditional sense, but something far more mesmerizing and infinitely more dangerous. She emerged from the shuttle like a vision from a fever-dream Princess Elara of Fennecia, her lithe form clad in a flowing gown of iridescent silk that hugged her curves with elegant defiance. Her skin was a flawless porcelain white, glowing faintly under the station's emergency lights, and her hair cascaded like fresh snow down her back, framing a face of ethereal beauty. Small, pointed ears reminiscent of ancient earth elves, but with a vulpine sharpness twitched at the slightest sound, and her eyes, a piercing emerald green, scanned the shadows with a mix of wariness and desperation. She moved with the grace of a predator, yet there was a vulnerability in her step, as if the weight of an empire rested on her slender shoulders. Elara had fled her homeworld, the opulent empire of Fennecia, where towering spires of crystal pierced the skies and fox-like beings ruled with cunning and charm. Betrayed by her own council, hunted by assassins loyal to a usurping warlord, she'd piloted her vessel through wormholes and asteroid fields, seeking refuge in the uncharted fringes. Echo 9 was her last hope, a derelict speck on no one's map. But as she stepped into the bay, her keen senses picked up the faint rustle of movement. She spun, her gown swirling like a comet's tail, and locked eyes with Ethan. He stood there, stun rod trembling in his grip, mouth agape. Who are you?" he stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. Human encounters with Phoenicians were rare, their empire was isolationist, shrouded in myths of seductive shapeshifters and ancient pacts with the stars. To Ethan, she looked like a goddess misplaced in the grime of his world. Elara's lips curved into a faint, weary smile, her small fangs glinting subtly. "A wanderer, like you," she replied, her voice a melodic purr with an accent that danced like wind through leaves. She assessed him quickly, human, unassuming, no threat. But there was something in his eyes, a quiet intelligence that sparked her curiosity. Desperation made her bold, she needed allies, and this shy mortal might just do. As alarms subsided into silence, Ethan lowered his weapon, drawn inexplicably closer. "This station's off limits. You shouldn't be here." His words were meant to be firm, but they came out soft, almost inviting. She tilted her head, her ears flicking. And yet, here I am, hunted across the void with nowhere left to turn. Her gaze softened, vulnerability cracking through her regal facade. She stepped nearer, the scent of exotic spices and starlit blooms wafting from her, intoxicating in the stale air. Ethan's cheeks flushed. He'd never been this close to anyone so otherworldly. What followed was a tense standoff turned tentative alliance. Elara explained her plight in hushed tones, her words painting vivid pictures of betrayal in the grand halls of Phoenicia's capital, where intrigue flowed like wine at feasts. Assassins from the warlord's faction had poisoned her father, the emperor, and now sought her head to solidify their claim. She needed repairs for her shuttle, supplies, and perhaps a way to signal loyalists without alerting her pursuers. Ethan, ever the tinkerer, offered his help reluctantly at first, his shyness making him fumble tools and avert his eyes from her alluring form. As hours blurred into cycles, the station's artificial day-night rhythm marking time, they worked side by side. Ethan marveled at her knowledge of quantum drives, her fingers deftly recalibrating circuits with an innate grace. In return, she shared tales of her world, festivals under triple moons, where dances mimicked the hunt, and lovers sealed bonds with rituals that blended mind and body. Her presence stirred something in him, a dormant confidence he'd buried under layers of isolation. One evening, as they sat in the dim glow of a repaired console, sharing a meager meal of rehydrated rations, Elara's demeanor shifted. She leaned closer, her emerald eyes locking onto his with an intensity that made his pulse race. "You humans are fascinating," she murmured, "so resilient yet so restrained." Her hand brushed his arm, sending a jolt through him like static from a nebula. Ethan swallowed hard, adjusting his glasses. I'm just an engineer, nothing special." She laughed softly, a sound like tinkling crystals. "Oh, but you are. In Fennecia we value cunning and passion. You've shown both." Then, with a sigh that carried the weight of exile, she confessed, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I haven't been near a man in years. The court was full of schemers, not lovers. And now, in this forsaken place." Her words hung in the air, charged with unspoken longing. Ethan's mind reeled. This alien princess, a being of legend, was opening up to him, a nobody from Earth. It was absurd, exhilarating, terrifying. But in that moment, as her gaze held his, he felt a spark ignite within, a human tenacity ready to rise. Little did he know, this confession was the catalyst. Shadows stirred outside the station, her hunters closing in. Ethan would soon discover strengths he never knew, turning from shy recluse to unlikely hero, all for the enigmatic princess who had crashed into his life. As the first hints of pursuit flickered on the scanners, Elara grabbed his hand. "We must prepare. They come for me, but together perhaps we can turn the tide." Ethan nodded, his grip firming. For the first time, he didn't shrink away. The adventure was just beginning, a tale of stars, secrets, and a bond that defied galaxies. The station's corridors seemed narrower now, echoing with the ghosts of what was to come. Ethan led Elara to his hidden workshop, a cluttered sanctuary of wires and wonders. As they fortified defenses, rigging makeshift traps from salvaged parts, conversations flowed like rivers merging. She spoke of Fenecia's lush forests, where bioluminescent foxes roamed free, symbols of her people's heritage. He shared fragments of Earth-bustling cities, rainy nights, the simple joy of a hot cup of coffee. Their worlds collided in laughter and lingering glances, building a bridge across the void. But tension simmered beneath. Elara's proximity was a constant distraction. Her gown, designed for royal elegance, clung in ways that highlighted her graceful form, her small ears perking at his every word. Ethan caught himself staring, then blushing, fumbling excuses. "Sorry, I didn't mean to." She placed a finger on his lips, her touch warm despite the chill of space. "No apologies. In my culture, desire is a gift, not a shame." Her eyes sparkled with mischief, drawing him in. As night cycles deepened, they rested in a makeshift quarters, the hum of the station lulling them. Elara curled nearby, her breathing steady, but Ethan lay awake, mind racing. Her confession replayed years without intimacy, isolated by politics and power. It humanized her, made her less a princess and more a woman, longing for connection. Dawn brought alarms, proximity alerts blaring. Scouts from the warlord's fleet had arrived, sleek drones probing the station's hull. Ethan sprang into action, his shyness shedding like old skin. Using human ingenuity, he hacked the drones' frequencies, turning them against each other in a chaotic ballet of explosions. Elara watched in awe. "Your mind, it's a weapon sharper than any blade." Their escape was narrow, blasting off in her repaired shuttle as debris rained like meteors. But safety was fleeting. The warlord's flagship loomed on sensors, a behemoth of Phoenician design, bristling with weapons. Clinging to controls, Ethan plotted a course through an asteroid field, his hands steady. Elara leaned over him, her scent enveloping, whispering strategies from her military upbringing. Their synergy was electric, a fusion of human grit and alien cunning. As they evaded pursuers, dodging laser fire that scorched the void, Elara turned to him. "Ethan, if we survive this, I want to know you." Truly, his heart soared, fear mingling with desire. The chase intensified, rocks shattering around them, but in that peril, a bond forged unbreakable, unforeseen. Deeper into the field they plunged, the shuttle groaning under strain. Elara's hand found his, squeezing tight. "Hold on," she urged, her voice a beacon. Explosions lit the darkness, enemies faltering in the maze. Victory tasted sweet, but the real journey, the one of hearts and heroes, was just unfolding. The asteroid field was a labyrinth of tumbling giants, each rock a potential tomb. Ethan navigated with precision born of desperation, his fingers dancing over the controls like a pianist in frenzy. Elara provided coordinates, her vulpine instincts sensing paths through the chaos. "Left now," she cried, and they veered, a pursuing fighter slamming into debris with a silent bloom of fire. Adrenaline surged, but so did something deeper. In lulls between maneuvers, their eyes met, charged with unspoken promises. Elara's gown had torn slightly in the haste, revealing more of her porcelain skin, and Ethan couldn't help but notice how her body moved with fluid grace, a testament to her fox-like heritage. "You're incredible," he breathed during a brief respite. She smiled, fangs peeking. "As are you, my human savior." Their evasion succeeded, slingshotting out the field's far side into open space. But the warlord's ship, the Dreadfang, closed fast, a colossal vessel shaped like a predatory beast, its maw glowing with cannon ports. Elara's face hardened. "That's Vorak's command. He was my father's advisor, now my betrayer." Ethan set his jaw. "We can't outrun it. We fight smart." Using scavenged tech from Echo 9, he jury-rigged a cloaking field, masking their signature. They drifted, hearts pounding, as the Dreadfang scanned nearby. In the tense wait, intimacy bloomed. Elara pressed close, her warmth seeping through. "In Fennecia we have rituals for bonds like this. Shared peril awakens the soul." Ethan turned, their faces inches apart. Her lips parted, inviting. He leaned in, hesitant at first, then bold. Their kiss a spark in the dark, a blend of human passion and alien allure, soft yet fervent. The cloak held, the Dreadfang passing by. Relief washed over them, but the kiss lingered, a promise of more. Now, they plotted counterstrike, infiltrate Fenecia's outer colonies, rally loyalists. Ethan's strategy's unconventional, human, impressed Elara. "You think like no Phoenician," she said, admiration glowing. As they hyperspaced toward allies, their connection deepened, whispers turning to touches, building toward inevitable union. The journey was fraught, but in each other's arms, they found strength. The stars bore witness to a love defying empires. Approaching the colony world of Lunara, a moon of Fenecia's core planet, dotted with hidden outposts, tension mounted. Elara contacted trusted contacts via encrypted channels, her voice steady but eyes betraying fear. Ethan supported her, his presence a rock. "We'll make it," he assured, hand on her shoulder. Docking under cover, they blended into crowds of fox-like beings, Elara disguising her royal aura with a cloak. But whispers followed, rumors of the princess's return spread like wildfire. In a seedy tavern they met her loyalist, a grizzled captain named Hale. "Highness, Vorak's grip tightens. We need proof of his treachery." Ethan, drawing on Earth databases hacked via shuttle link, uncovered digital trails, forged documents, poisoned communiques. "Here," he said, displaying holograms. "Irrefutable." Hale nodded, impressed. "This human, he's a gift from the stars." As plans solidified a daring raid on Vorak's outpost, Elara pulled Ethan aside in their quarters. "You've awakened me," she confessed, her body pressing against his. "Years of isolation ended by you." Their embrace ignited, clothes shedding like barriers. Her skin was silk under his fingers, her ears twitching at his touch. They explored with gentle urgency, a dance of discovery, human warmth meeting alien elegance. The night was theirs, passion building to crescendo, a symphony of sighs and whispers. In that union, Ethan found courage, Elara found solace. Dawn brought action, but their bond fueled the fight ahead. The raid unfolded in shadows. Infiltrating Vorak's base, lasers humming, Ethan and Elara moved as one. He disabled security with clever hacks, she dispatched guards with vulpine agility. Confronting Vorak in his chamber, the warlord sneered. The princess and her pet human, how quaint. Battle erupted, fists, beams, fury. Ethan, channeling inner hero, turned the tide with improvised explosives, collapsing supports. Vorak fell, empire crumbling. Loyalists rose, hailing Elara and Ethan as saviors. In victory's glow they stood together, a new era dawning. Love, forged in stars, eternal. Yet whispers of new threats lingered, but for now, they had each other. As the echoes of victory faded into the grand halls of Fenecia's restored palace, Ethan and Elara found themselves in a fragile bubble of peace. The crystal spires outside gleamed under the dual suns, casting rainbows across the throne room where loyalists still cheered her name. But beneath the celebration, a shadow loomed. Vorak's defeat had scattered his followers, not eradicated them. Whispers reached Elara's sensitive ears, remnants plotting in the outer colonies, alliances fracturing like ice under heat. She stood on the balcony now, her silvery hair stirring in the warm breeze, gown flowing around her like liquid starlight. Ethan joined her, his hand slipping into hers, a simple gesture that grounded her amidst the chaos. "You did it," he murmured, his voice still carrying that quiet awe from their first meeting. "You're home." She turned to him, emerald eyes softening. "We did it. But home feels different now with you here." Her fingers tightened around his, pulling him closer. The air between them thickened, charged with the unspoken memories of their journey, stolen kisses in the shuttle's dim cabin, bodies pressed together in the heat of escape. Years of her isolation had built a hunger in her, one that Ethan's gentle strength had begun to sate. Yet, in this moment of triumph, that hunger resurfaced, insistent and raw. As the suns dipped lower, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold, Elara led him away from the prying eyes of courtiers. They slipped through hidden passages she knew from childhood, cool, dimly lit corridors carved from iridescent stone, where the air hummed with the faint energy of ancient Phoenician tech. Her steps were purposeful, her tail subtle and fox-like, hidden beneath her gown swishing with anticipation. Ethan followed, his heart pounding not from fear now, but from the electric pull she exerted. He'd changed since Echo 9, the shy engineer had discovered a fire within, kindled by her touch, her trust. They emerged into her private chambers, a sanctuary of opulent silks and glowing orbs that floated like captive stars. The door sealed behind them with a soft click, shutting out the world. Elara faced him, her porcelain skin flushed slightly, small ears perked forward in that endearing way that betrayed her excitement. "Ethan," she breathed, stepping so close he could feel the warmth radiating from her body. "In the midst of all this I need you. Truly need you." He reached out, tracing the line of her jaw with trembling fingers. "I'm here," he whispered, his voice husky. The confession from the station echoed in his mind, her admission of loneliness, of years without intimacy. It had been the spark now, it was ablaze. He pulled her into a kiss, deeper than before, his lips claiming hers with a newfound confidence. She responded eagerly, her fangs grazing his lower lip in a playful nip that sent a shiver down his spine. Her hands roamed his back, claws retracted but pressing just enough to tease, to promise. They moved toward the massive bed, a sea of plush fabrics embroidered with celestial patterns. Elara's gown whispered as it fell away, pooling at her feet like discarded moonlight. Beneath, her body was a masterpiece, curves that invited exploration, skin smooth and inviting under his palms. She was unashamed, her Phoenician nature embracing desire as a natural force, like gravity pulling stars together. Ethan shed his own clothes, feeling exposed yet empowered under her gaze. Her eyes drank him in, appreciating the lean strength of his human form, the way his muscles tensed with anticipation. She pushed him gently onto the bed, straddling him with graceful ease. "Let me show you," she murmured, her voice a sultry purr that vibrated through him. Her hair cascaded over them like a veil, and she leaned down, lips trailing kisses along his neck, his collarbone. Each touch was deliberate, building suspense, a nip here, a lick there, her breath hot against his skin. Ethan's hands found her waist, sliding up to cup her breasts, thumbs circling in slow, teasing motions that drew a soft gasp from her. She arched into his touch, her body responding with a fluidity that was almost hypnotic. The room filled with their shared rhythm, the floating orbs dimming as if sensing the intimacy, casting shadows that danced across their forms. Elara's movements were a blend of tenderness and urgency. She rocked against him, building friction that made him groan. "It's been so long," she confessed again, her words laced with erotic vulnerability. "But with you it's like rediscovering fire." Her hips ground down, eliciting a wave of pleasure that blurred the line between suspense and release. Ethan flipped them gently, taking control, his kisses traveling lower across her stomach, to the sensitive skin of her thighs. She writhed beneath him, small ears flattening in ecstasy, her tail curling around his leg in silent encouragement. Time stretched, each caress heightening the tension, like a story unfolding page by page. He explored her with reverence, lips and fingers coaxing sighs and moans that echoed softly in the chamber. Elara's hands tangled in his hair, guiding him, her body trembling on the edge. When they finally joined, it was a slow, deliberate union, him entering her with care, her warmth enveloping him completely. They moved together, building to a crescendo, suspense coiling tighter with every thrust. Her nails dug into his back, not breaking skin but marking him as hers, while his hands gripped her hips, pulling her closer. In that erotic haze, whispers of the outside world intruded faintly, a distant alert chime from the palace systems, perhaps a scout's report. But they ignored it, lost in each other. Elara's climax came first, a shuddering wave that arched her back, her cry muffled against his shoulder. It pulled him over the edge, pleasure crashing through him like a supernova. They collapsed together, limbs entangled, breaths mingling in the afterglow. Yet, as they lay there, the chime persisted, growing insistent. Elara's ears twitched, pulling her from the bliss. "Something's wrong," she said, sitting up with reluctant grace. Ethan propped himself on an elbow, concern etching his features. "What is it?" She accessed a holographic panel by the bed, her naked form silhouetted against the glowing display. Data scrolled encrypted messages from the outer rims. Vorax lieutenants, they're regrouping. A fleet gathering near the Nethuria Nebula. Suspense crept back in, cold fingers along their spines. The peace was shattering already. Ethan rose, wrapping a sheet around them both. "We knew it wasn't over. What's the plan?" Elara's eyes hardened, but a spark of their recent passion lingered. "We intercept them. But first we need intelligence." She turned to him, a sly smile breaking through. "Your human tricks might come in handy again." They dressed quickly, the erotic interlude fueling their resolve rather than sapping it. As they stepped into the command center, courtiers parting like waves, Ethan felt the weight of eyes on them, the princess and her human consort, unbreakable. But in the back of his mind, doubt flickered. How deep did the conspiracy run? Were there traitors still within these walls? The nebula loomed on the star maps, a swirling vortex of gas and secrets. Elara dispatched scouts, her commands sharp and regal. Ethan worked beside her, hacking into enemy comms with improvised algorithms, his fingers flying over consoles. Tension built as reports trickled in, enemy ships cloaked, numbers unknown. Every ping on the sensors ratcheted the suspense, like a predator stalking in the dark. That night, back in chambers, the erotic undercurrent resurfaced. Unable to sleep, Elara pulled him close again. "If tomorrow brings battle," she whispered, her body pressing against his, "let tonight be ours." Their lovemaking was fiercer this time, suspense mingling with desire, quick, urgent touches, as if defying the looming threat. She rode him with abandon, her moans a challenge to the stars, while he held her, whispering promises of forever. Dawn broke with alarms. The fleet had moved, faster than anticipated. Elara and Ethan boarded her flagship, the Aurora's Grace, a sleek vessel humming with power. As they jumped to hyperspace, the crew watched them, a symbol of unity, but en route, a encrypted burst arrived, a mole in the palace, feeding intel to the remnants. "Who?" Elara demanded, her face paling. Ethan analyzed the signal. "It's coded, but I can crack it." Suspense peaked as he worked, the ship hurtling toward confrontation. Finally, the name emerged: Hale, the loyalist captain who'd aided them before. Betrayal stung like a blade. Elara's ears drooped momentarily, but she straightened. "We adapt, like foxes." The nebula emerged, a beautiful death trap of colorful gases hiding dangers. Enemy ships decloaked, lasers priming. Battle erupted, beams slicing through the void, shields flaring. Ethan coordinated defenses from the bridge, his strategies turning the tide, feints that drew fire, hacks that disrupted enemy targeting. Elara piloted evasive maneuvers, her body tense but alive with adrenaline. In lulls their eyes met, a silent erotic promise: survive this, and claim more nights together. A direct hit rocked the ship, sparks flying. "Shields down to 30, a crewman shouted. Ethan rerouted power, buying time. But Hale's vessel appeared, hailing them. "Surrender, Highness, Vorax Vision lives." Elara's response was a volley of fire, disabling his engines. "Traitor," she spat. As the battle raged, Ethan boarded a shuttle with a strike team, infiltrating Hale's ship. Hand-to-hand combat ensued, fists connecting, lasers scorching air. Ethan faced Hale in the command deck, the grizzled fox snarling. "You humans meddle where you don't belong." Ethan dodged a swipe, countering with a stun blast. "I belong with her." He subdued Hale, extracting data that revealed the full plot: a hidden base in the nebula's core, where remnants built a superweapon. Relaying the intel, Elara ordered a push. Ships converged, suspense climaxing in a barrage of fire. The base exploded in a brilliant flash, remnants scattering. Victory secured, they reunited on the bridge, embracing amid cheers. But Elara's whisper held erotic heat: "Tonight, we celebrate properly." As the fleet returned, their bond deeper, forged in fire and flesh, the galaxy watched. Humanity's touch had saved an empire again. The return voyage to Fenecia's core worlds was a triumphant blur, the Aurora's grace leading a battered but victorious fleet through the shimmering veils of hyperspace. Cheers echoed through the corridors as crew members swapped stories of the nebula skirmish, toasting to the princess's cunning and her human allies' improbable genius. Elara stood on the bridge, her emerald eyes fixed on the starfield display, but her mind wandered to Ethan's arms, the way their bodies had intertwined in the heat of anticipation just hours before. He was beside her now, his hand resting lightly on the small of her back, a subtle anchor in the storm of emotions swirling within her. The betrayal by Kale still stung, a fresh wound amid the elation, but with the remnants scattered and their hidden base in ruins, hope bloomed like a rare comet tail. Yet, as the ship dropped out of hyperspace into the familiar orbit of Fennecia Prime, an uneasy silence fell over the bridge. Sensors flickered erratically, painting a picture that didn't match the homecoming they expected. Orbital defenses were offline, dark silhouettes against the planet's glowing atmosphere. Elara's small ears flattened against her head, an instinctive reaction to danger. "What's happening?" she demanded, her voice cutting through the murmurs like a laser. A technician hunched over a console, fur bristling. "Highness, communications are jammed. And look, unidentified vessels in geosynchronous orbit. They're not ours." Ethan leaned in, his analytical mind kicking into overdrive. Scan for signatures. Could be scavengers taking advantage of the chaos. But even as he spoke, a knot of curiosity twisted in his gut. This felt too coordinated, too precise. The thrill of their recent win faded, replaced by a dramatic tension that thickened the air. Before anyone could respond, the viewscreen crackled to life unbidden. A holographic figure materialized, tall, cloaked in shadows, with vulpine features twisted into a sneer. It wasn't Vorak, this was someone new, or perhaps someone long hidden. "Princess Elara," the voice boomed, laced with mocking familiarity. "Welcome back to your crumbling throne. I am Lord Draven, true architect of your father's fall." Vorak was but a pawn expendable, like so many. Elara's breath caught, her porcelain skin paling. "Draven, you were exiled years ago, for treason." The name stirred old memories, a disgraced noble, banished to the fringes for plotting against the Empire. Curiosity surged. How had he survived, let alone amassed power? Draven's hologram laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the bridge. "Exile? A convenient cover. While you chased ghosts, I've built an alliance with the Shadow Collective mercenaries from beyond our borders, augmented with forbidden tech. Your palace is mine now, your loyalists persuaded." The image shifted, revealing live feeds, Phoenician guards turning on each other, streets in chaos, and worst of all, the Imperial vault breached, ancient artifacts glowing ominously in enemy hands. Thrill mixed with horror as Ethan pieced it together. He's using neural overrides hacked from old Earth designs, twisted with Phoenician psi tech. That's why the defenses are down. His words were a whisper, but they carried weight, drawing nods from the crew. Surprise rippled through Elara, her human, once so withdrawn, now unraveling plots like threads in a tapestry. "We have to land," Elara declared, her voice stealing with dramatic resolve. "Take back the palace." "But how, with traitors everywhere?" Ethan's eyes lit up with that inventive spark. "We go in quiet. Use the service tunnels, I mapped them from your stories. Turn their tech against them." The plan formed rapidly, thrilling in its audacity, a small team, cloaked shuttles, EMP bursts to disrupt the overrides. Curiosity burned what lay in the vault that Draven coveted so fiercely. Legends spoke of the Starheart, a relic said to bend reality, a power that could reshape galaxies. As they descended through turbulent clouds, the shuttle bucking like a wild beast, tension coiled tighter. Elara gripped Ethan's hand, her claws pricking his skin just enough to ground them both. "If we fall," she murmured, "know that you've been my greatest surprise, a shy wanderer, becoming the heart of an empire." He squeezed back, thrill pulsing through him. "We won't fall. Humanity's got a knack for underdog stories." The landing was a whisper in the night, hidden amid the sprawling gardens of the palace grounds. They moved like shadows, Elara, Ethan, and a handful of trusted warriors through overgrown paths where bioluminescent vines pulsed like veins. The air hummed with distant clashes, loyalists fighting controlled puppets, the Empire tearing itself apart. Dramatic flares lit the sky as energy weapons discharged, casting eerie glows on their faces. Deeper into the tunnels they delved, the walls closing in with claustrophobic intensity. Ethan led, his makeshift scanner beeping softly, mapping neural signals. Here over-eyed nodes. One pulse and we free a sector. He rigged a device from scavenged parts, fingers flying with precision. The EMP fired, a silent wave rippling outward. Screams echoed from above, puppets awakening, confusion turning to rage against their manipulators. But surprise awaited in the next chamber, an ambush. Shadow Collective mercenaries, hulking figures in armored exosuits, augmented with cybernetic limbs that whirred menacingly. Lasers sliced the air as battle erupted, thrilling and chaotic. Elara leaped with vulpine agility, her claws rending metal, fangs bared in a feral snarl. Ethan dodged a blast, countering with a hacked drone that turned on its masters, exploding in a shower of sparks. "Behind you," Elara cried, shoving him aside as a mercenary lunged. She took the hit, a glancing wound searing her side. Pain flared, but she fought on, dramatic fury fueling her strikes. Ethan retaliated, using a fallen enemy's weapon to blast through reinforcements. Their synergy was electric, each move anticipating the other, curiosity about their bond deepening amid the fray. What limits did it have? They pressed on, bloodied but unbroken, emerging into the palace's underbelly. The vault loomed ahead, its massive doors ajar, guarded by Draven's elite. Thrilling anticipation built as they charged, weapons blazing. Ethan spotted a weakness, a power conduit exposed, and fired, plunging the hall into darkness. In the chaos they slipped through. Inside the vault, drama peaked. Artifacts hummed with otherworldly energy, but at the center stood the Starheart, a crystalline orb pulsing with inner light, capable of warping space-time. Draven hovered over it, his form twisted by forbidden augmentations, eyes glowing red, limbs extended with mechanical tendrils. "You fools," he hissed, "this power will make me God Emperor. Your human pet changes nothing." Elara stepped forward, regal even in tatters. "It's over, Draven. Surrender." He laughed, activating the Starheart. Reality shimmered, time-dilating thrilling distortions where seconds stretched to minutes. Ethan felt the pull, his mind reeling with curiosity how to counter it. Surprise struck as memories flooded, not his, but echoes from the relic, revealing Draven's true plan: not just rule Fennecia, but conquer human space, using the Starheart to fold distances. "No," Ethan growled, human tenacity surging. He lunged, grabbing a nearby artifact, a nullifier rod from ancient wars, and thrust it into the orb's field. Sparks flew, reality cracking like glass. Draven roared, tendrils lashing out, but Elara joined the fray, her attacks precise and deadly. The climax thundered, energy waves cascading, the vault trembling. Ethan held the rod steady, sweat beading, as the Starheart overloaded. Draven's form convulsed, augmentations failing in a spectacular implosion. With a final, surprising twist, the relic shattered, not destroying everything, but releasing a wave that neutralized the remaining overrides across the planet. Silence fell, broken only by their ragged breaths. Elara collapsed into Ethan's arms, her wound throbbing but victory sweet. You saw its secrets?" she asked, curiosity gleaming through pain. He nodded, thrilling realization dawning. "It showed me futures, ours, together, bridging empires." The surprise lingered. The Starheart's destruction had imprinted knowledge on him, human mind adapting where others might shatter. As loyalists flooded in, hailing them as saviors, the Empire began to heal. But questions remained: what other relics hid dangers? And how would this bond evolve? The thrill of the unknown beckoned, dramatic horizons unfolding. Outside, under Fenecia's dual suns, peace settled tentatively. Ethan and Elara stood on the balcony once more, her head on his shoulder. "The galaxy will never be the same," she whispered. He smiled, curiosity alight. "Good, let's make it better." Yet, in the shadows of the vault's ruins, a faint glow persisted, a shard of the Starheart, pulsing secretly. Unseen, it whispered promises of future storms, leaving a thrilling thread of surprise for what lay ahead. The celebrations that followed were a whirlwind of color and sound, Phoenicians filling the streets with dances and feasts, honoring the princess and her unlikely hero. But beneath the revelry, Elara and Ethan stole moments alone, tending wounds and sharing whispers. Her side healed quickly under advanced meds, but the scar would remain a reminder of their dramatic stand. As nights deepened, curiosity drew them back to the vault's remnants. Ethan pored over data logs, his human perspective uncovering patterns Draven had missed. "The collective isn't gone," he said one evening, holograms flickering around them. They're regrouping in the outer voids with allies from uncharted sectors. Elara's ears perked, thrill returning. Then we pursue. But first rest. She pulled him close, their embrace reigniting the fire, a brief respite in the storm. Word spread across the stars a human had toppled tyrants. His bond with the Fox Princess a beacon. Diplomatic envoys arrived from Earth colonies, curious about this alliance. Ethan met them with growing confidence, Elara by his side, their story inspiring awe. But surprise lurked in the details. A encrypted message intercepted the shard awakens. Phase 2 begins. From whom? The thrill of pursuit called. They boarded a new vessel, the bond unbreakable, ready for the next chapter. Drama awaited in the cosmos, where heroes rose from the shy and the exiled. As the dual suns of Fennecia dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the celebrating crowds below, Elara and Ethan lingered on the balcony, the weight of their victory mingling with the sweet exhaustion of battle. The air was alive with the scent of blooming night flowers, their petals unfurling like silent applause, but Ethan's mind raced ahead, fixated on that faint glow from the Starheart's shard he'd glimpsed in the vault's ruins. He hadn't mentioned it yet. Didn't want to shatter the fragile peace, but curiosity gnawed at him, a dramatic undercurrent to the joy. Elara leaned against him, her silvery hair brushing his cheek, her body still humming with the adrenaline that had carried them through the chaos. Better indeed, she echoed his words, her voice a soft purr that sent a familiar warmth through him. But first, let's savor this. The court awaits us at the grand feast, time to play the roles of triumphant heroes. Ethan chuckled nervously, adjusting his glasses, which had somehow survived the fray. Heroes? Me? I'm just the guy who fixed a few gadgets. What if I trip over my own feet in front of your entire empire? The thought alone heightened the drama in his chest. He could already picture the awkward stumble, the collective gasp from fox-eared nobles. Elara's emerald eyes sparkled with amusement, her small ears twitching in that endearing way. Oh, Ethan, that's what makes you perfect. Humans and their charming clumsiness, it's like watching a starship try to dance. She pulled him toward the grand hall, her hand in his, but as they descended the spiral staircase, drama escalated with the arrival of an unexpected delegation. Heralds announced them with booming voices, envoys from the human alliance, drawn by tales of the Earthling who had toppled a galactic threat. Leading the group was Admiral Voss, a stern woman with a cybernetic eye that whirred as it scanned the room, flanked by diplomats in crisp uniforms. The feast hall was a spectacle, long tables laden with exotic fruits that glowed faintly, meats roasted over plasma flames, and crystalline goblets filled with nectar that fizzed like captured nebulae. Phoenicians in flowing robes mingled, their tails swishing in rhythmic conversations, but all eyes turned as Elara and Ethan entered. Cheers erupted, but Ethan felt the spotlight like a targeting laser, his cheeks heating up. This is a lot, he muttered, trying to keep his steps measured. Elara squeezed his hand. Breathe. You're my consort now, act like it. But her words came just as a young Phoenician noble approached, bowing low with exaggerated flair. Highness and Sir Ethan. Tales of your bravery precede you. Might I inquire about human mating rituals? We've heard they're quite vigorous. Ethan choked on his sip of nectar, sputtering awkwardly as the liquid fizzed up his nose. The noble's innocent curiosity hung in the air, heightening the drama of the moment, while nearby courtiers stifled laughs. Elara bit her lip to suppress a grin, her porcelain cheeks tinting pink. Lord Taran, perhaps another time, she said diplomatically, but Ethan could see the humor dancing in her eyes. Vigorous? Where do they get this stuff? He whispered to her, wiping his face with a napkin that felt like woven starlight. The awkwardness only mounted as Admiral Voss cornered them at the high table. Mr. Hale, she said, her cyber eye zooming in unnervingly close. Your exploits are impressive for a civilian. But allying so intimately with aliens. The Alliance has questions. Her tone was dramatic, laced with suspicion, as if Ethan had single-handedly started an interspecies scandal. Elara's ears flattened slightly, a subtle sign of irritation, but she interjected smoothly. Admiral, Ethan is no mere ally. He's the reason Fennecia stands. Perhaps your questions can wait for dessert. Voss leaned back, but not before shooting Ethan a look that made him shift uncomfortably in his seat. Humor crept in when a server placed a dish before him, a wriggling delicacy that looked like glowing jelly with eyes. It's a delicacy, Elara whispered, her voice teasing. Just don't let it stare back. Ethan poked it tentatively, and the thing let out a tiny squeak, making him yelp and drop his fork. Laughter rippled through the nearby guests, lightening the tension but amplifying his embarrassment. "Great, now I'm the comic relief," he grumbled, though Elara's soft giggle beside him made it bearable. As the evening wore on, drama heightened with the arrival of a holographic message that projected mid-air above the tables. It was from a fringed colony, urgent and crackling with static highness, anomalies detected reality fluctuations near the old exile zones. Echoes of the Starheart. Elara's face tightened, her playful mood evaporating. Ethan felt a chill, this tied directly to the shard he'd seen. "We need to investigate," she said quietly, pulling him aside into an alcove draped with vines that pulsed gently, but the awkward situation escalated when, in their haste for privacy, they bumped into a pair of amorous courtiers already occupying the space. The two Phoenicians sprang apart, tails fluffing in surprise, one fumbling to adjust a disheveled robe. "Highness, we were just discussing strategy," the male stammered, his ears drooping comically. Elara cleared her throat, suppressing a laugh. "Carry on, then. But perhaps find a less public alcove." Ethan averted his eyes, face burning, as they retreated. "Is this normal here?" he asked once alone, humor bubbling up despite the drama. "Feels like I'm in a bad rom-com vid." Elara leaned against the wall, her gown shifting to reveal the curve of her hip, a reminder of their intimate moments. "Phoenicians are passionate people. But yes, timing could be better." Her voice dropped, dramatic urgency returning. "The message, it's no coincidence. Draven's exile zones were where he experimented with forbidden relics. If the Starheart's shard is active." Ethan nodded, his human ingenuity kicking in. "I saw it glowing after the explosion. Didn't want to alarm you, but it imprinted something on me, visions of alternate paths, like branching timelines." The confession hung heavy, heightening the drama as Elara's eyes widened. "You should have told me sooner," she said, but there was no anger, only concern. Awkwardly, he shrugged. "Didn't want to ruin the party. Besides, how do you casually drop, 'Hey, a magic space rock downloaded futures into my brain?'" She couldn't help but smile, a touch of humor easing the tension. "Humans and your understatements. Come, we rally a team." They slipped back into the feast, but drama pursued them like a shadow. As Elara addressed the court about the new threat, a skeptical noble rose Lady Nyra, with piercing eyes and a tail that lashed disdainfully. "Highness, with respect, is this human's vision reliable? Or are we chasing ghosts because of personal entanglements?" The implication was clear, awkward and accusatory, murmurs rippling through the hall. Ethan felt heat rise, but Elara defended him fiercely. "Ethan's insights saved us once. Question him again, and you'll answer to me." The standoff was dramatic, silence stretching until Nyra sat down, chastened. Humor snuck in when Ethan whispered, "Thanks. Though, personal entanglements, sounds like a polite way to say I'm your boy toy." Elara elbowed him lightly. "Hush, or I'll make it official." Their banter lightened the mood as they prepared for departure. Boarding a stealth cruiser at dawn, the team, Elara, Ethan, and a squad of elite guards jumped toward the exile zones, a barren cluster of asteroids riddled with ancient ruins. Tension built during the voyage, awkward silences broken by Ethan's attempts at levity. "So, if this shard warps reality, could it make me taller?" Asking for a friend. The guards chuckled, easing the drama, but Elara's worried glance reminded him of the stakes. Arrival brought immediate peril, the asteroids pulsed with erratic energy fields, ships veering wildly. "Hold steady," Elara commanded from the helm, her piloting a thrilling display of grace. But drama peaked when a fluctuation hit, teleporting Ethan momentarily into a parallel glimpse, a vision of failure, Elara fallen, the Empire in ruins. He snapped back, gasping, awkward in his disorientation. "Whoa, bad trip," he joked weakly, but his pallor betrayed the fear. They docked on the largest rock, suits sealing against the vacuum, and ventured into caverns where Draven's labs once stood. Echoes of experiments lingered, holographic ghosts replaying failed tests, adding eerie drama. Awkward humor struck when Ethan triggered a trap, a harmless hologram of Draven lecturing on superior augmentation, making everyone jump. "Great, now we're getting schooled by a dead guy," Ethan quipped, diffusing the tension. Deeper in, they found the shard embedded in a console, glowing brighter, surrounded by scavengers from the Shadow Collective, drawn like moths. Battle erupted dramatically, lasers crisscrossing the cavern, rocks crumbling under fire. Elara fought like a whirlwind, her claws slashing, while Ethan hacked the console, fingers flying. But an awkward twist came when a fluctuation swapped their positions mid-fight. Ethan suddenly in Elara's spot, facing a burly mercenary with a plasma axe. Hi, he stammered, dodging clumsily before stunning the foe with a lucky shot. Elara, now in his place, laughed mid-battle. Not bad for a human. They regrouped, the shard's power surging, creating illusory duplicates that heightened the chaos fighters battling their own shadows. Ethan reached the console, inputting overrides from his imprinted knowledge. Come on, you cosmic paperweight, he muttered humorously, as the shard stabilized, its glow dimming. But surprise drama unfolded. The shard revealed a hidden message from Draven, a final taunt. The true power lies in the core. Activate it, and claim eternity. Temptation flickered immortality, but Elara smashed it decisively. No more games. As debris settled, they escaped the collapsing cavern, the cruiser blasting away just in time. Back in safety, Ethan pulled Elara close. That was too close. But hey, at least I didn't trip this time. She kissed him, humor and relief mingling. My clumsy hero. The Empire was secure for now, but the stars held more secrets, drama ever on the horizon. Exhaustion claimed them in the cruiser's quarters, bodies entwining in a gentle embrace. What next? Ethan asked, tracing her ear. Whatever it is, together, she replied. Yet in a distant sector, another shard pulsed unseen, waiting. The return to Fennecia brought renewed celebrations, but awkward diplomatic dances awaited. Human envoys pressed for alliances, Vos eyeing Ethan suspiciously. Your visions. Care to demonstrate? She asked during a meeting, heightening the drama. Ethan blinked. Not really a party trick. Humor saved him when Elara interjected, perhaps over tea, with scones. Laughter broke the ice, but underlying tension remained. Nyra approached later, apologetic but probing. Forgive my earlier words. But humans so unpredictable. Awkwardly so, Ethan agreed, diffusing with a grin. As days passed, they balanced rule and romance, drama in council chambers offset by stolen moments. One night, a malfunctioning drone delivered flowers to the wrong room, leading to an awkward mix-up with a guard. Highness, these are for intimate evenings. The guard stammered, holding a bouquet. Elara burst out laughing, Ethan mortified. Note to self: double-check bots. Humor laced their life, but when reports of anomalous signals from deep space arrived, drama resurfaced. Another relic. Elara wondered. Ethan nodded. Let's find out awkwardly, if need be. Their adventure continued, bonds strengthening amid the stars. As the stealth cruiser hummed through the velvet expanse of space, charting a course back to Fennecia Prime after the narrow escape from the exile zones, Elara and Ethan found solace in the quiet rhythm of the journey. The guards had retired to their quarters, leaving the bridge dimly lit by the soft glow of navigation panels, stars streaking past like whispered secrets. The drama of the shard's destruction still lingered in their minds, the way it had pulsed with forbidden energy, teasing alternate realities before Elara's decisive blow shattered it forever. But now, with the immediate threat quelled, and the Empire's signals confirming stability, a different kind of tension built between them, one born from the deepening bond that had carried them through chaos. Ethan glanced at Elara, her porcelain skin illuminated by the console lights, her small ears relaxed for the first time in days, and felt a pull that went beyond words. She caught his gaze, a knowing smile curving her lips as she powered down non-essential systems, dimming the bridge further into an intimate cocoon. We've earned this reprieve, she murmured, her voice a gentle melody that wrapped around him like a warm embrace. Rising from her seat with that effortless grace, she extended a hand, her fingers brushing his in a touch that sent sparks dancing along his skin. Ethan took it, standing to meet her, the awkward humor from earlier feasts and mishaps fading into something more profound, more urgent. Their adventure had forged them together, strengthening not just alliances, but the very essence of their connection, and in this moment, amid the stars, that bond yearned for expression. They moved wordlessly to the captain's quarters adjacent to the bridge, the door sealing behind them with a soft hiss, shutting out the vastness of space and creating a world of their own. The room was modest yet luxurious in Phoenician style, soft fabrics draped over a wide berth, ambient lights mimicking the gentle flicker of moonlight from her homeworld. Elara turned to him, her emerald eyes locking onto his with an intensity that made his pulse quicken. Ethan, she whispered, stepping closer until their bodies nearly touched. the heat from her form radiating through the thin material of her gown. "In all the turmoil, you've been my anchor. Let me show you how deeply I feel that." He nodded, his hands finding her waist, pulling her gently against him. Their lips met in a kiss that started slow, tender, a reaffirmation of the trust they'd built. But as her arms wrapped around his neck, the kiss deepened, fueled by the pent-up emotions of battles won and dangers averted. Elara's small fangs grazed his lower lip ever so lightly, a playful reminder of her alien heritage, sending a shiver of anticipation through him. She pressed her body closer, her curves molding to his frame, and he could feel the steady rhythm of her heartbeat syncing with his own. Years of her solitude had left a void, one that Ethan's presence had begun to fill, and now, in this private sanctuary, that filling took on a more intimate form. With careful hands, Ethan traced the lines of her gown, finding the hidden clasps that released it, the fabric slipping away like a veil unveiling a treasure. Beneath, her skin was flawless, a canvas of soft white that invited exploration. She stood unashamed, her confidence a beautiful contrast to his lingering shyness, though that shyness had ebbed with every shared victory. "You're stunning," he breathed, his voice husky with awe, as his fingers trailed along her shoulders, down her arms, eliciting a soft sigh from her. Elara reciprocated, her nimble fingers working at his uniform, peeling it away layer by layer until they stood equal, vulnerable yet empowered in each other's gaze. She guided him to the berth, their movements a dance of mutual discovery. Lying back, she pulled him down with her, their bodies intertwining in a gentle tangle. Ethan's hands roamed her form, caressing the swell of her hips, the curve of her back, while her tail subtle and fox-like curled around his leg in affectionate encouragement. Their kisses grew more fervent, exploring necks and collarbones, each touch building a wave of warmth that spread through them. Elara arched slightly under his attentions, her breath quickening as his lips found sensitive spots, drawing quiet moans that echoed softly in the room. In return, she explored him with equal care, her touches light yet purposeful, awakening sensations that made him gasp. The connection deepened as they joined, a slow, deliberate union that spoke of patience and passion. Ethan moved with her, their rhythms syncing like perfectly aligned orbits, each motion a testament to the bond that had grown from chance encounter to unbreakable partnership. Her hands clutched his shoulders, nails pressing just enough to heighten the sensation without discomfort, while he held her close, whispering her name like a vow. The intensity built gradually, a crescendo of shared pleasure that washed over them in waves, leaving them trembling in its wake. Elara's eyes fluttered closed in bliss, her body responding to his with a fluidity that was both alien and intimately familiar, their union a bridge across worlds. In the afterglow they lay entwined, breaths mingling as the ship's hum provided a soothing backdrop. Elara traced lazy patterns on his chest, her head resting on his shoulder. "That was everything I needed," she confessed softly, her voice laced with contentment. Ethan smiled, kissing her forehead, feeling a profound sense of belonging. The stars outside continued their eternal dance, but in this moment, their world was complete, the intimacy reinforcing the strength they'd need for whatever lay ahead. Yet, as they drifted toward sleep, a subtle alert chimed from the bridge console, a faint signal anomaly detected in deep space, echoing the shard's signature. Elara stirred, her ears perking up. "Not now," she murmured, but curiosity flickered in her eyes. Ethan propped himself up, the post-intimacy haze sharpening into focus. Could be nothing or another piece of Draven's legacy. The drama of their adventure resurfaced, but tempered by their renewed closeness. They dressed reluctantly, sharing lingering touches and soft laughs about the timing Elara, joking that the galaxy seemed determined to interrupt their moments. Back on the bridge, Ethan analyzed the signal, his fingers dancing over the controls with familiar ease. "It's weak, but persistent, originating from an uncharted nebula cluster." Elara nodded, her hand on his arm. "We investigate, together." The cruiser adjusted course, plunging toward the unknown. En route, their intimacy lingered in stolen glances and brief embraces, fueling their resolve. Upon arrival, the nebula unfolded like a cosmic tapestry, swirling gases hiding asteroid fields and ancient wrecks. Sensors picked up energy spikes, drawing them to a derelict station older than Fenecia's empire, perhaps a precursor civilization. Docking cautiously, they explored with the team, suits hissing in the vacuum. The station's corridors were labyrinthine, walls etched with unfamiliar runes that glowed faintly. Elara's keen senses guided them, her tail swishing alertly beneath her suit. "This place feels alive," she said, voice crackling over comms. Deeper in, they found a chamber pulsing with energy, a larger shard, or perhaps the Starheart's origin, surrounded by holographic archives. Activating them revealed dramatic history's wars between ancient races, the relic's creation as a tool for unity, corrupted into division. Ethan's imprinted knowledge synced, unlocking files that detailed safeguards against misuse. But drama heightened when defenses activated automated drones swarming like angry insects. Battle ensued, lasers flashing in the dim light, the team fighting back to back. Elara's agility shone, dodging and striking with precision, while Ethan hacked a control node, turning some drones against others. In the chaos, a beam grazed his suit, sealing a minor breach but leaving him winded. Elara pulled him to cover, her concern evident even through the helmet. "Stay with me," she urged, their earlier intimacy lending emotional weight to the words. They pressed on, reaching the core where the shard hovered, its power tempting. Visions assaulted Ethan again, futures of peace, of peril, but he resisted, guiding Elara to deactivate it safely. As the energy faded, the station stabilized, yielding data caches on lost technologies. This could change everything, Elara breathed, awe mixing with relief. Back on the cruiser, they cataloged the finds, their bond deeper, the intimacy from before a foundation for trust. Returning to Fennecia, they presented the discoveries to the court, Ethan standing tall beside her, no longer the awkward outsider. Diplomats from human worlds arrived, intrigued by the relics, forging new alliances. In private, their nights were filled with gentle explorations, bodies coming together in ways that healed old wounds and built new dreams. One evening, as they lay in each other's arms after another shared moment of closeness, Elara whispered, "You've given me more than an empire, you've given me hope." Ethan held her, the stars witnessing their union. But whispers of unrest persisted, fringe groups, seeking relic fragments. Drama loomed, but with their strengthened connection, they were ready. Council meetings turned tense, with Lady Nyra advocating caution. These human influences revolutionary, but risky. Elara defended fiercely, Ethan adding insights that won skeptics over. Amid duties, they stole time for themselves, intimacy a sanctuary. Her touches were tender, his responses eager, their unions a blend of passion and affection that left them renewed. As alliances solidified, a gala celebrated the union of worlds. Ethan, in formal attire, navigated the crowd with growing ease, Elara's presence his guide. Dances under crystal lights mirrored their private rhythms, bodies moving in harmony. Yet, a shadowed figure at the edge, a spy. Heightened drama. They pursued discreetly, uncovering a plot to revive Draven's tech. Confrontation in the gardens, a chase through glowing foliage, ending in capture. Interrogation revealed ties to the Shadow Collective's remnants. With the threat neutralized, peace deepened. Their love, once sparked in isolation, now illuminated empires. In quiet moments they explored each other further, bodies entwining in slow, sensual dances that spoke of forever. Elara's solitude ended, Ethan's shyness transformed. The adventure evolved, bonds unbreakable amid the stars. As the gala's lights shimmered like captured constellations across the grand hall of Fennecia's palace, Elara and Ethan moved through the crowd in a synchronized grace that had become second nature. Diplomats from human colonies mingled with Phoenician nobles, their conversations a tapestry of tentative alliances woven from the relic's discoveries, technologies that promised faster travel, stronger shields, and bridges between worlds. Elara's hand rested lightly on Ethan's arm, her touch a quiet anchor amid the swirl of robes and uniforms, her silvery hair catching the glow as she nodded to well-wishers. The intimacy they had shared aboard the cruiser still lingered between them, a warm undercurrent that made every glance feel like a secret promise. Ethan, dressed in a tailored ensemble that blended human simplicity with Phoenician elegance, felt less like the outsider he once was, and more like a partner in this cosmic dance. Who knew saving an empire came with so much small talk? He murmured to her, his voice low enough for only her ears. She smiled, her emerald eyes twinkling with that familiar mischief. "Endure it a little longer, my love. These bonds will secure our future." The word "our" carried weight now, encompassing not just empires, but the life they were building together, nights of tender exploration, days of shared strategy. As they circulated, Ethan fielded questions from curious envoys about the Starheart's data, his explanations drawing nods of approval. Lady Nyra, once skeptical, even approached with a gracious bow. "Your insights have proven invaluable, Sir Ethan. Perhaps humans aren't as unpredictable as I thought." He chuckled softly. "Give us time, we'll surprise you yet." The evening flowed smoothly, music from ethereal instruments filling the air, dancers twirling in patterns that mimicked orbital paths. But as the night deepened, a subtle unease crept in. Ethan noticed it first: a flicker in the holographic displays overhead, a brief static that disrupted the projected star maps. He dismissed it as a glitch, but Elara's small ears perked up, her tail stiffening beneath her gown. "Something's off," she whispered, scanning the room. Before he could respond, the shadowed figure they'd glimpsed earlier slipped through the crowd, vanishing into the gardens beyond the hall's arched doors. "We can't ignore it," Ethan said, his voice steady. Elara nodded, and they excused themselves gracefully, weaving through guests with polite smiles that masked their urgency. The gardens were a labyrinth of bioluminescent flora, vines pulsing with soft light under the dual moons, the air heavy with the scent of night-blooming orchids. They moved quietly, Ethan's human intuition guiding them along less traveled paths where shadows clung like forgotten secrets. There, Elara pointed, her keen vision spotting a cloaked form darting toward a secluded pavilion. They pursued, footsteps muffled on the mossy ground, the thrill of the chase quickening their pulses. The pavilion was an ancient structure, its crystal pillars etched with runes from Fenecia's founding era. The spy, a lithe Phoenician with markings Ethan didn't recognize, hunched over a portable console, fingers flying across holographic keys. "Halt," Elara commanded, her voice regal and sharp. The figure spun, eyes widening in recognition, but instead of fleeing they dropped to one knee. "Highness, I am not your enemy, I've come to warn you." Ethan stepped forward, stun device at the ready, but Elara held up a hand. "Speak then. Who sent you?" The spy, revealed as a female with scarred ears, a sign of exile, glanced nervously at the shadows. "I am Lyra, once a guardian of the Imperial Archives. Draven's experiments, they went deeper than you know. The Starheart wasn't just a relic, it was a key. And you've unlocked something irreversible." Her words hung heavy, drama thickening the air like fog rolling in from the moons. Ethan felt a chill, the intimacy of their recent moments contrasting sharply with this intrusion. "What do you mean?" he pressed, his analytical mind already piecing together fragments from the visions the shard had imprinted on him. Lyra activated her console, projecting a swirl of data logs from Draven's hidden labs, timelines that branched like fractured glass. The Starheart was designed to interface with specific DNA. Phoenician royalty carries the marker, but you, human, it bonded with you. Those visions, they're not echoes, they're activations. Elara's face paled, her hand reaching for Ethan's instinctively. "Activations for what?" Before Lyra could answer, alarms blared across the palace grounds, perimeter breaches, ships decloaking in orbit. Chaos erupted, guests scrambling inside, guards mobilizing with weapons humming to life. Elara and Ethan raced back, Lyra in tow, the gardens transforming from serene haven to battlefield as shadow collective remnants beamed down, their forms materializing in flashes of energy. Lasers scorched the air, vines igniting in bursts of flame. "They're after the data," Lyra shouted, dodging a blast. Ethan's mind raced, human strategies kicking in. He directed guards to flanking positions, using the garden's layout for ambushes. Elara fought beside him, her claws extending in a blur, dispatching assailants with lethal precision. Their synergy was flawless, bodies moving in harmony honed from shared perils and private unions. But amid the fray, a powerful surge hit Ethan, a vision, sharper than before, flooding his senses. He staggered, clutching his head as realities overlapped, glimpses of ancient wars, humans not as newcomers to the stars but as progenitors, seeding galaxies with life. The twist struck like a supernova. As an enemy closed in, weapon raised, Ethan's body reacted on instinct or something more. Energy coursed through him, the Starheart's imprint awakening fully. His hand shot out, and a wave of force emanated, not from tech but from within, telekinetic, raw, hurling the assailant back into a pillar that crumbled on impact. Elara stared, emerald eyes wide. "Ethan, what was that?" He blinked, surprise mirroring hers, the power humming in his veins like a second heartbeat. I don't know. The visions, they're changing me." Lyra nodded grimly as they regrouped behind cover. That's the secret Draven uncovered. The Starheart wasn't Phoenician origin, it was human. Ancient humans engineered it eons ago, before your species forgot their stellar heritage. Royalty like you, Highness, were designed as guardians, but the bond with a true descendant awakens its full potential. The revelation shattered everything. Ethan, the shy engineer from Earth's colonies, was no ordinary human. He carried latent genes from those ancient creators, activated by the shard's touch. Surprise rippled through him, explanations flooding, his inexplicable pull to Elara, his intuitive hacks that outpaced even Phoenician tech. All this time I was the key, he whispered, the drama of his transformation heightening as more enemies swarmed. Elara grabbed his arm, her touch grounding him. Then use it. For us, the battle intensified, collective forces pushing with augmented troops, cyborgs with glowing implants, firing in coordinated volleys. Ethan tapped into the new power tentatively, surprise giving way to control. He deflected incoming fire with mental barriers, shards of energy shimmering like shields. Guards rallied, inspired by the display, their fox-like agility complementing his newfound abilities. Elara covered him, her movements a deadly ballet, claws rending armor as she protected his flank. In the pavilion's ruins, they cornered the collective's commander, a hulking figure with Draven's insignia. You fools, he snarled. The Starheart's awakening will draw them the Ancients' enemies, the Void Swarm. You've doomed us all. But Ethan's power surged again, probing the commander's mind in a surprising invasion of thoughts, extracting truths. The collective wasn't just remnants, they were a faction trying to suppress the awakening, fearing it would summon interstellar horrors dormant for millennia. The twist deepened. Draven hadn't been the villain, he'd been a misguided protector, twisting relics to prevent this very activation. Ethan's bond with the Starheart had ignited a beacon, signaling across the void. As the commander fell, defeated by a combined strike from Elara and Ethan's force wave, sensors blared massive signatures approaching Phoenicia's borders, not ships, but entities swirling masses of darkness that devoured light. Elara turned to him, fear and awe mingling. What have we done? Ethan, power coursing, felt the surprise evolve into resolve. What we were meant to. The visions show paths to victory. Humanity's legacy isn't just creation, it's defense. They rallied the palace forces, Ethan directing with enhanced insight, his mind linking to systems in ways that surprised even him. Fleets mobilized, human allies jumping in response to urgent calls. The Void Swarm drew nearer, a cosmic horror of tendrils and voids, but Ethan's awakening provided countermeasures, frequencies from ancient knowledge that disrupted their forms. Battles raged in orbit, ships weaving through the swarm's grasp, Ethan's commands turning the tide. Elara piloted their flagship, her trust in him unwavering. In lulls, she squeezed his hand. My love, you're more than I ever imagined. He smiled faintly. Turns out, so am I. The surprise of his transformation fueled their fight, human heritage reclaiming the stars. As the swarm faltered, retreating into the void, victory emerged, but at a cost. Ethan's power, while saving them, began to strain his body, visions hinting at a price for wielding it. In the aftermath, as debris cleared and alliances solidified stronger than before, Ethan and Elara stood on the bridge, gazing at the stars. This changes everything, she said softly. He nodded, the twist's echoes still resonating. But we'll face it together, that's our true power. Yet, in the depths of his mind, another vision flickered, a greater threat lurking, drawn by the beacon. The adventure, far from over, promised more surprises in the endless cosmos. The Empire hailed Ethan as the awakened one, a bridge between past and present. Diplomats scrambled to rewrite histories, humans elevated in galactic eyes. Elara, by his side, navigated the politics with grace, their intimate moments now laced with wonder at his changes, subtle enhancements in touch, shared thoughts during closeness. One night, as they lay entwined, bodies still humming from union, a vision shared, ancient humans fleeing a cataclysm, seeding worlds like Phoenicia. We're connected deeper than we knew, he whispered. She traced his skin. Then let's honor it. Challenges arose, factions doubting his power, tests of loyalty. Ethan proved himself, using abilities to heal rifts, forge peace. Surprise became strength, their love the constant. As new signals beckoned from uncharted space, they prepared, unbreakable. As new signals flickered across the flagship's scanners, emanating from the uncharted fringes where the Void Swarm had retreated, Elara and Ethan stood shoulder to shoulder on the bridge, the weight of his transformation still settling like stardust in the air. The crew bustled around them, calibrating weapons and plotting courses, but the couple's focus remained intertwined, their unbreakable bond a shield against the unknown. Ethan's newfound abilities hummed beneath his skin, a constant reminder of his ancient heritage, making everyday tasks feel charged with potential like flipping a switch could unravel reality itself. "These signals, they're not just echoes," he said, his voice steady but laced with the drama of impending storm. "The visions show fragments, swarms regrouping, drawing power from dark matter rifts. We need to intercept before they breach known space." Elara nodded, her emerald eyes reflecting the holographic displays, her hand brushing his in a gesture that blended reassurance with lingering affection from their intimate moments. "Then we move swiftly. But first, we consult the council. Alliances must hold, especially now." The decision propelled them back to Fennecia Prime, the flagship slicing through hyperspace like a blade through silk. Upon arrival, the palace buzzed with heightened activity, diplomats from human colonies arriving in droves, drawn by tales of the Awakened One, Ethan's title spreading like wildfire across comms networks. The drama escalated as they entered the Grand Chamber, where holographic projections of star maps loomed overhead, nobles and envoys debating strategies with fervent gestures. Lady Nyra, ever the voice of caution, rose first. "Highness, Sir Ethan, your victory over the swarm is commendable, but these powers, they unsettle the old guard. How do we know this awakening won't corrupt as it did the ancients?" Her words hung heavy, drama thickening the room like a gathering nebula. Murmurs rippled through the assembly, eyes darting to Ethan, who shifted uncomfortably under the scrutiny. He adjusted his glasses, a habit from his shy days that now felt awkwardly out of place amid his enhanced state. "Well, no corruption so far," he quipped, trying to lighten the mood, "unless you count the time I accidentally levitated my breakfast this morning. Floating toast, highly recommend for zero-grav enthusiasts." A few chuckles broke the tension, human delegates grinning at the humor, but Nyra's ears flattened, her tail lashing in mild exasperation. Elara stepped in smoothly, her regal poise commanding attention. "Lady Nyra, Ethan's abilities saved us. We focus on the threat ahead. The swarm's signals indicate a rift opening near the Urandor sector. We propose a joint fleet, Phoenician cunning paired with human resilience." The council debated heatedly, drama building as factions clashed, some fearing overreach, others eager for glory. In the midst of it, an awkward situation unfolded when a young human envoy, wide-eyed and overeager, approached Ethan during a recess. "Sir Awakened, can you demonstrate? Maybe read my mind or something?" The envoy thrust out a hand expectantly, as if Ethan were a parlor trick. Ethan blinked, caught off guard, his cheeks flushing. It's not exactly on demand like that, and mind reading. That's a bit invasive, plus, I might accidentally broadcast your thoughts about that spicy Phoenician stew you had last night." The envoy's face turned beet red, stammering apologies amid scattered laughter from onlookers. Elara covered her mouth to hide a smile, whispering to Ethan, "Smooth, my love." Though now the entire council knows about his digestive regrets. The humor diffused the awkwardness, but it underscored the drama of Ethan's position, revered yet scrutinized, a human anomaly in an alien court. As deliberations stretched into the evening, Ethan excused himself to a side chamber for a moment of respite, Elara joining him shortly after. The room overlooked the palace gardens, now bathed in moonlight, but the serenity was short-lived. "The visions are intensifying," he confessed, rubbing his temples. "I see the rift, it's not just a portal, it's a breeding ground. If we don't seal it, the swarm could multiply exponentially." Drama pulsed in his words, his eyes distant as ancient knowledge flooded him. Elara placed her hands on his shoulders, her touch grounding him. "We'll seal it. But you can't carry this alone." Their embrace deepened, a brief intimate connection amid the chaos, her body pressing close in silent support. The council reconvened, approving the joint fleet with tense unanimity. Preparations ramped up dramatically, ships fueling, crews drilling, alliances tested in simulated battles. Ethan coordinated from the command hub, his powers enhancing simulations, projecting holographic swarms that felt eerily real. But awkwardness struck again during a joint briefing with human Admiral Voss, who eyed him suspiciously. "Your gifts are impressive, Hale, but let's test them properly." She activated a training drone, programming it to evade at maximum speed. Ethan focused, extending his will. The drone halted mid-air, then comically spun in loops before landing gently. Voss's cyber eye whirred in surprise. Well, that's useful. Though if you make my coffee float next, we're having words. Ethan grinned. Deal unless it's decaf. Then all bets are off. The light humor eased alliances, but beneath it, drama simmered whispers of jealousy among Phoenician warriors, uneasy about a human leading the charge. Launch day arrived with heightened stakes, the fleet assembling in orbit like a constellation of steel and light. Elara and Ethan boarded the lead vessel, the Aurora's grace refitted with ancient tech from the relics. As they jumped toward Urandor, tension coiled tighter. Scouts reporting rift anomalies, space-time distortions that warped sensors. Hold formation, Elara commanded, her voice steady. Ethan stood beside her, powers attuning to the distortions, guiding navigators through the haze. But an awkward mishap occurred when a distortion wave hit, scrambling comms momentarily. Ethan's mind linked instinctively, broadcasting thoughts to the fleet, not strategies, but a fleeting memory of his embarrassing floating toast incident. Laughter crackled over restored channels, human pilots joking, "Sir, if the swarm attacks with carbs, we're doomed." Ethan facepalmed, drama mixing with mortification. Note to self: mental filters needed. Elara squeezed his hand, her laugh soft. At least it boosted morale. My heroic toaster. The rift loomed ahead, a dramatic vortex of swirling darkness, tendrils of void energy lashing out like living shadows. The swarm emerged, massive entities, formless yet formidable, absorbing light and matter. Battle ignited lasers piercing the gloom, ships dodging ethereal grasps. Drama peaked as a tendril ensnared an allied vessel, pulling it toward the rift. Ethan channeled his power, a surge of force ripping it free, but the effort drained him. Visions flashing warnings of overload. "I can hold them," he gritted, sweat beading. Elara covered him, directing fire support, her piloting evading strikes that shattered asteroids nearby. Awkward humor surfaced amid peril when a swarm entity mimicked forms from Ethan's broadcasted thoughts, manifesting as giant, floating toast slices that bizarrely attacked. "What in the stars?" A pilot yelped over comms. Ethan, fighting through exhaustion, quipped, apparently, "My breakfast is the real threat." Aim for the crust. Laughter amid laser fire, the absurdity lightening the dire moment as they exploited the mimicry, confusing the swarm with targeted blasts. Deeper into the rift, drama intensified. The core pulsed with a nexus entity, a colossal mass drawing power from alternate dimensions. Ethan's visions revealed its weakness, a frequency harmonic from ancient human designs. "We sync weapons to this pulse," he shouted, mind linking the fleet. The maneuver was risky, ships aligning in a dramatic formation, energy building like a symphony crescendo. Awkwardness hit when Ethan's power fluctuated, accidentally boosting a pilot's personal comms, broadcasting a Phoenician guard's off-key singing mid-battle. Not the time for karaoke. Elara teased, but it humanized the fight, crews pushing harder. The harmonic fired, ripping through the nexus in a spectacular implosion. The rift collapsed, swarm remnants scattering into oblivion. Victory whoops echoed, but Ethan's strain showed he collapsed briefly, Elara catching him. "You did it," she whispered, drama easing into relief. Back on Phoenicia, celebrations awaited, but awkward questions loomed: how to manage his growing power. Humor helped Ethan, joking about power naps during recovery. Council sessions turned dramatic, with proposals for Ethan to train others, but resistance arose. Naira challenged, "Can we trust this force won't consume him?" Ethan, regaining strength, demonstrated control by levitating her teacup harmlessly. "See? No spills," she conceded with a wry smile, humor bridging divides. Alliances deepened, joint explorations planned. In private, Elara and Ethan shared moments, her care soothing his burdens. "You're not alone," she affirmed, their intimacy a haven. Yet, new signals hinted at lingering voids. Drama persisted, but with humor and awkward growth, they faced it head-on. Recovery brought awkward social hurdles, human media hailing Ethan as a space wizard, leading to fan mail that included bizarre requests. "This one wants me to levitate their pet," he laughed, showing Elara a holo message. She giggled, "Tell them only if it's house-trained." Diplomatic dinners amplified drama, with Voss probing Ethan's limits over dessert. "Ever tried mind-linking during negotiations?" Ethan quipped, "Only if you want everyone knowing your secret fondness for Phoenician poetry." Voss sputtered, humor diffusing tension. As they prepared for the next venture, a probe returned data void echoes in distant sectors. Round 2, Ethan asked. Elara smiled. With you, always. Their story unfolded, drama, awkwardness, and humor entwining like stars in a galaxy. As probes delved deeper into the distant sectors, charting the faint echoes of void energy that hinted at lingering dangers, Elara and Ethan found themselves once more at the heart of a burgeoning alliance, their flagship orbiting Fennecia Prime like a vigilant sentinel. The Council's debates had evolved from tense standoffs to collaborative visions, with human ingenuity and Phoenician grace forging paths forward. Ethan's powers, now a controlled force rather than a wild surge, allowed him to sense the subtle ripples in spacetime, guiding fleets away from hidden rifts and towards safer stars. Round 2 it is, he had said with that familiar grin, and Elara's response with you? Always. Had sealed their commitment, a promise woven into the fabric of their shared destiny. The galaxy, once a place of isolation for them both, now unfolded as a canvas for their united strength, where every challenge only deepened the bond that had begun in the dim corridors of an abandoned station. In the weeks that followed, the joint fleet expanded, vessels from Earth colonies docking alongside Phoenician cruisers in a symphony of lights and engines. Ethan stood on the observation deck, watching the armada assemble, his mind attuned to the cosmic hum that whispered of ancient legacies. Elara joined him, her presence a comforting warmth against the chill of space. The signals lead to the Veil Nebula, she said, her voice steady as she reviewed holographic charts. A convergence point for the swarm's remnants. If we strike there, we end this threat for good. Her small ears twitched with focus, her silvery hair catching the starlight, and Ethan marveled at how far they'd come from her confession of loneliness to this partnership that spanned empires. He took her hand, his touch infused with a subtle energy that made her skin tingle, a side effect of his awakening that they both cherished in private moments. Then let's finish it. Together. The drama of the mission loomed, but it was tempered by the quiet confidence they'd built, through battles and intimacies alike. As the fleet jumped into hyperspace, crews from both worlds mingled in the halls, humans sharing stories of Earth's resilient history, Phoenicians demonstrating vulpine agility in training sims. Ethan navigated the cultural blends with his trademark humor, diffusing an awkward moment when a human pilot mistook a Phoenician tail flick for a challenge. Easy there, he laughed, levitating a nearby tool to demonstrate peace. We're all on the same side, no need for a fluff off. The pilot chuckled, tension easing, and Elara whispered later, your charm is as powerful as your gifts. The Veil Nebula emerged as a breathtaking yet ominous spectacle, swirling clouds of gas illuminated by dying stars, hiding pockets of void where the swarm lurked. Sensors flared with warnings, distortions warping reality around the fleet. Drama intensified as the first entities materialized, tendrils lashing out to ensnare ships. All hands engage. Elara commanded from the bridge, her piloting turning the Aurora's grace into a darting phantom. Ethan channeled his abilities, projecting barriers that shimmered like auroras, deflecting attacks while amplifying allied weapons. The battle was a chaotic ballet, lasers carving through darkness, explosions blooming like fleeting flowers in the void. In the heart of the fray, a massive nexus entity coalesced, larger than before, drawing energy from the nebula's core. Ethan's visions surged, revealing its core vulnerability, a harmonic frequency tied to ancient human relics. Sync to this pattern, he broadcasted, his mind linking the fleet in a web of shared intent. Ships aligned, firing in unison, the energy wave rippling outward like a cosmic heartbeat. The nexus shuddered, cracks forming in its formless mass, but it countered with a desperate pulse that rocked the flagship. Alarms blared, systems flickering, and Ethan felt the strain, his powers pushing against limits, visions blurring with pain. Elara grabbed his arm, her eyes fierce. Hold on, love, we're almost there. Her support fueled him, and with a final surge, he amplified the harmonic, shattering the nexus in a brilliant cascade of light. The swarm fragments dissolved, retreating into nothingness, the nebula stabilizing as peace reclaimed the stars. Cheers erupted across comms, humans and Phoenicians alike hailing the victory. Ethan slumped into a chair, exhausted but triumphant, Elara kneeling beside him, her hands cupping his face. You did it, she whispered, tears glistening in her emerald eyes. We did it. The return to Phoenicia was a hero's welcome, parades under dual suns with banners fluttering in the wind, crowds chanting names that had become legend: the Fox Princess and the awakened human. Alliances solidified into unbreakable pacts, shared technologies blooming into a golden era, faster drives bridging worlds, medical advances healing old divides. Ethan, once a shy engineer, now stood as a bridge between past and future, his powers a tool for creation rather than destruction. He trained others, humans discovering latent abilities, Phoenicians embracing hybrid strengths, the galaxy evolving under their watchful eyes. Yet, amid the grandeur, it was the quiet moments that defined their ending. In the palace gardens, where bioluminescent vines glowed like living stars, Elara and Ethan walked hand in hand, the drama of wars fading into memory. "Remember Echo 9?" he asked, pulling her close under a canopy of leaves. "That forsaken station where a princess crashed into my life." She smiled, her fangs glinting playfully. "How could I forget? I confessed my loneliness, and you became my everything." Their kiss was slow, tender, a culmination of all they'd shared, bodies pressing together in familiar rhythm, her tail curling around him in affection. Intimacy had been their sanctuary, and now, in peace, it flourished without the shadow of peril. They retreated to their chambers, where soft lights mimicked the nebula's glow, undressing with unhurried grace. Ethan's hands traced her curves, eliciting sighs that echoed their first unions, while she explored him with the same wonder, their movements a dance of equals. As they lay entwined, bodies still humming from connection, Elara traced patterns on his chest. "What now, my hero? The stars are ours." He gazed at her, powers allowing him to sense the depth of her love, a warm aura that matched his own. "Now we live, explore uncharted worlds, build families across stars, human tenacity and Phoenician cunning, creating something new." Visions hinted at children, hybrids of their worlds, carrying legacies forward. No more solitude for her, no more hiding for him, they were whole, together. Years blurred into a tapestry of adventures, diplomatic voyages to distant systems, discoveries of lost civilizations that enriched their empires. Ethan mastered his abilities, using them to heal rifts in space and society, while Elara ruled with wisdom, her court a model of unity. Awkward moments became fond tales, the time Ethan's power accidentally levitated a diplomatic banquet, leading to laughter and stronger bonds, or when Elara's fox-like instincts caused her to pounce playfully during a formal event, human guests delighting in the display. In time, they retired to a serene world on the Empire's edge, a planet of lush forests and triple moons, where festivals echoed those of Phoenicia's past. Surrounded by friends and descendants, they watched sunsets, hands intertwined. "I haven't been near a man in years," Elara teased one evening, echoing her confession, her eyes sparkling. Ethan laughed, pulling her close. "Lucky for you, I'm not just any man." Their kiss under the moon sealed the promise, a good ending to a story that began in isolation and blossomed into eternal light. The galaxy thrived, humanity's spirit intertwined with alien wonders, but at its core was their love, a beacon proving that across voids, connections endured. As stars wheeled overhead, Ethan and Elara whispered dreams, their legacy a testament to the power of unlikely unions. Peace reigned, adventures called softly, and in each other's arms they found forever. Word spread of the princess and her human, inspiring tales across worlds. Children played games of swarm battles, lovers shared confessions under stars, echoing their beginning. Ethan, reflecting on his journey, marveled at fate's twists from shy recluse to galactic savior, all sparked by one alien's vulnerability. Elara, resting her head on his shoulder, murmured, "We were destined." He agreed, powers showing futures bright and boundless. No more threats loomed unchecked, their vigilance ensured harmony. In quiet nights, intimacy remained their joy, bodies exploring with timeless passion, souls merged in perfect sync. Friends visited Admiral Voss, now an ally, sharing laughs over past suspicions, Lady Nyra, softened by time, toasting their wisdom. Human Phoenician hybrids grew, embodying unity, their small ears and resilient spirits a new era's dawn. One final adventure called a voyage to the ancient's origin world, guided by Ethan's visions. They set out, fleet in tow, discovering ruins that unlocked sustainable energies, gifting the galaxy endless prosperity. Returning home, they aged gracefully, powers extending life, love undimmed. In their garden, under blooming vines, Ethan held Elara. "From years without touch to a lifetime of it." She smiled. "Humanity, and you, my everything." As moons rose, their story closed not in fade, but in enduring light a good ending, where heroes rested, empires flourished, and love conquered all.